Hey, it's Lacey Broussard, and this is the Multi-Orgasmic Mama podcast. From sex and motherhood, birth and relationships, communication and intimacy building, and Taoism and Tantra, we explore topics such as self-care, self-pleasure, body image, jade eggs, the feminine cycles, creativity in business, and modern spirituality. The Multi-Orgasmic Mama is a place to come for true stories and transformational advice on how to be a mama and a multi-orgasmic woman too. Welcome to the Multi-Orgasmic Mama podcast. This is Lacey Broussard, and today I have a special guest, Guusje Wannet from the Netherlands, on with us today. Hey, Guusje, how are you?
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. I can't wait to hear all about you and all of the amazing work that you do.
Thank you.
You are a relationship coach, yeah?
Yes, I am.
Sex, love, and relationship coach as well. And I am just so interested to hear your story about how you got into this, because it's, I've heard it before, but for all of you listening, I just love Guusje's story. It's super powerful. So I'll just give you a chance to go into that.
Well, thank you. Well, first of all, I'm a mother of three, and my early experiences with sexuality were not really the ones I was hoping for. My very first intimate experience was a rape. So that, you can imagine, that was quite harsh. I was a 16-year-old and on holiday in Spain with a girlfriend, and the whole situation was very scary and very daunting. When I got home, I thought, well, let's get over this as soon as possible. I think when you're 16, you want to feel safe in your own environment. So that's what I did. I started to, especially in the mind, recover from this trauma. And I had some help with that because I was in this study when I was turned 17. I went to social studies, and a lot of therapy comes with that. And I thought I was fine, and I recovered, and then I had my first real relationship, and that was lovely. It was a lovely man, or a boy, and I healed further. But when I grew in these relationships, another man came and another. Eventually I got married. I started realizing that all my relations were very safety-based. All the men I chose were very steady men, very reliable men. And although it was lovely and very soothing for my being and for myself, it was also, I was beginning to started to miss something. I had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. And when I carried my girl inside my belly, something changed. I was feeling all this feminine energy, and I started to open more and more my sensuality, my softness, warmth, my dynamic nature, more emotions. And when she was born, only 4 months or 5 months after that, I met this man, and he was everything but safe. He was really full on, intense. When I saw him, I was reminded of my own nature before my 16th. My nature of being really in this feminine, wild energy, and So instantly, all the gates to my wholeness were open again. And that's when my journey in conscious sexuality began. And that's eventually why I started doing this work.
Wow. That's a lot.
It is.
Yeah, and I like that in social studies, apparently you get therapy in the Netherlands too. That's really awesome. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, a social worker, and my specialty was family coaching. And yes, we do that. You get therapy, and you have to work a year, so like 10 months or so, in a place of your choice. And I chose a psychiatric hospital for children to work with their families. So it kind of depends what your specialty is. But these days it's all changed. But back then, we could choose a whole range of work places to learn our skills. And I've been like a coach, a therapist all my life, but not within the sensuality and the sexuality, and obviously the relationship, conscious sexuality. I started that journey 8 years ago when I met the love of my life. I can call him the love of my life. And I was very interested in how these two combine so well. Within family coaching, I used to focus on the mindset, giving strategies or give strategies to cope with all kinds of challenges. And when I discovered that my female energy, my fierce, powerful female energy, my sexuality, my dynamic, menstrual cycle, all influenced my relationships, I started, I missed out on some really big stuff when I was coaching these families. Maybe I should integrate this much more in my work. So then we started doing Tantra workshops together, and eventually I did a relationship coaching certification on top of my other certifications, of course. And so that's when my journey began. So that's how I got started.
Yeah, and your business is called Sensual Glow. I love the name.
Yes, my business is Sensual Glow because I believe that every woman has access to her glow, to her radiance, to her body, to her senses. And if we access this more in our daily life, we influence our complete world around us. We are better mothers, better sons of our daughters, sorry. We are better lovers, and I think it affects, every aspect of your life, even in work. When we reconnect with our true nature of being a feminine and live like this, I think, you will get a better person for yourself, and you can share a lot more wisdom, inner wisdom, with those around you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so your story went from being raped at 16 with your first sexual experience to being this amazing, sensual goddess woman here sitting in front of me today. And I'm wondering about the steps that you had to take to get there. You know, I think it's amazing that you were able to get help at such a young age to help work through that trauma. I don't think many people get that here in the United States, or if they do, maybe they don't know that they can or how to get access to that. So that's really cool. But, you know, what were the steps in particular that you took to going from always choosing the safe man, you know, something that felt really safe, to choosing one that, you know, brought out your wildness and your sensuality, but also, you know, the sense of safety as well, because that's really important too.
Absolutely. It's a very good question. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
When I met this man, it was not that I chose to open up to my sensuality. I was reminded that I missed so much in my childhood, or not in my early childhood, but in my puberty and in my young adult life. And even as an adult, I was reminded of, I have so much energy inside of me. I have so much warmth and so much love and even so much sensuality and sexual power. I was reconnected to that. And so first, when I discovered that, I felt a big sense of loss, of grief. So I gave space to this enormous sadness, because, well, to discover that all your relationship choices, your sexual choices, your preferences were based on safety and not on joy, on playfulness, on experimenting, and to live a little and to be dynamic and not so serious. I was always so serious. So first, I mourned my loss of this energy, and then I realized I had to reclaim my sensual power, my playfulness, my playfulness. I think to have joy and pleasure and to play around was a big thing for me. When you have trauma, lots of people are facing the loss of this innocence, this just to experiment in joy and in sexuality. I never did that. I never fooled around. So on the agenda for me was to live a little and to be more loose, and that was really hard. I can tell you that it was really hard, but I did it. I more within myself than in the world, because I fell in love with this man very deeply. So I had no eyes for other people. So my playfulness was especially with him, and I love that. I really love that. And the second thing I reclaimed was my pleasure, to feel pleasure in sex, in my body, to be in my senses, to allow myself to have sex just for pleasure, just for joy, for to receive pleasure, to relax in pleasure. That was a major thing, because I discovered that due to trauma and the need of feeling safe, I was not fully able to receive pleasure. It was much easier for me to give pleasure. So that was my third big thing, to allow myself to experiment with pleasure.
Yeah.
And that's how I got to the point where am I today. And of course I'm ever learning, but
Yeah. I love how when you met your soulmate that he kind of brought you back in a way to that feeling of innocence and playfulness. Those are really important stages of a person's sexuality where if you experience a trauma in any of those early stages, it's almost like you get stuck there.
Yes.
And you know as much as I do because you're in Husha's in the sex, love, and relationship coaching certification that I was in last year. And there are certain stages of sexuality, innocence, play, honor, sacredness. And when we go through each of those, that's like a natural progression, but sometimes we can get locked and stuck in a certain stage with a trauma. And then we can never really progress into the fullness of our sexuality and experience the fullness of it. And it's like, you figured it out. It's like this miraculous story that, meeting this man, you were able to heal the trauma and to move past that and to experience pleasure and play and all of these stages.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You've got that right. And for me, it's important to mention that we don't need a man to awaken us. And because with me, obviously, it was a man who moved me into awakening. But now I try to make very clear to all these traumatized women, and we all have trauma, that you can do this yourself. You can make things happen for you if you desire to. And I did all this work. Of course, I did it with him, but I did it myself, and I'm so proud of myself to reclaim my energy, reclaim my sexuality in full.
Yeah.
So that's this powerful movement. I'm very happy that you and all these beautiful women with me and well, this whole era, I think, is just standing up, and proud to be in this place right now.
I know, right? It's really intense and remarkable at the same time.
Yes.
So much change with women, reclaiming the fullness of their sexuality and dropping all of the guilt and shame and the shutdown that we've been fed and told to believe in, and feeling like our sexuality is dependent on a man's, and our pleasure is dependent on someone else giving it to us and all of that. So thank you for pointing out that it wasn't him. He was just the thing that sparked the initiation into your own sexual wholeness.
Absolutely. There was a complete new world I entered within myself, and I did so much moving and work to get here. And yeah, absolutely. I think we can do this together. We can do this in this fierce sisterhood we're creating around us. Absolutely.
Yeah. When you work with couples, one of the things that you mentioned you work with a lot is desire and incorporating more playfulness and creativity into a couple's sex life. Did you speak to that just a little bit?
Yes, I do. Because I discovered my desire within these years. I noticed that a lot of couples around me are completely shut off to their desires, their own sexual desires. When we enter a relationship, we often are looking for safety, for certainty, for reliability. And we forget that we are dancing with our sexuality and our individual desires as well. We must do that to maintain a healthy sex life. So after a couple of years, when hormones are a little bit less than in the beginning, or change, we're not that in love anymore physically, you see couples are in the need of some creativity, some juiciness, some new energy flow. And what I do with couples is going back to their original desire, their sexual desire, and make them reconnect with that intensely. So we're stepping back from this idea of we should have a sex life like this, we should have the experience of this, but we go back to I would like this, I would like to feel this, I would like to experience this. And usually it's very unsettling for couples to do this at first, because maybe there are fantasies that are a little bit selfish or uncomfortable to tell each other. But we do it anyway, and it really works. It's beautiful to see what people come up with. And as we spoke before in our conversations, it's all about the feeling behind it. And how do you want to feel every day within this amazing relationship that you have? And how would you like to express yourself? And how would you like to be talked to? And it's like this circle of give and receive. So yes, that's how we start to give voice to your own desire. And then, of course, the second step in this process is to implement that desire in the relationship and make it safe to speak to each other, to communicate to each other about your desires, about what you prefer, about your feelings. And when you are safe to express this to fullness in your love life, you can achieve a much greater sense of compassion for each other's desires.
Yeah. Do you find that a lot of people get stuck there with expressing it?
Yes.
Why do you think so?
We want to do it so well for the other person. For instance, I talk to men a lot, and they have this core desired feeling and drive to feel free, to walk on this earth alone. And often women can react to that. They're very attracted to that energy, but also it's very scary because they think, oh gosh, maybe he's looking for another woman, maybe he's looking for... So in relationship coaching, I always learn for this couple to speak freely, but hold space for each other within this, within their relationship, hold space for each other. And that means that they're completely safe in the setting they're in. So I always make okay, we're now in coaching, we're going in this process together, and you're in a safe space to tell each other exactly what you're longing for, what you desire, without consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And people, we don't, in the Netherlands at least, we don't learn how to speak freely without consequences. We learn how to solve problems. We learn how to make it all better for you. We learn how to give advice, but we don't actually listen to a desire without consequences, without reacting on this with an advice or an answer or a solution. Or so that's a basic thing I learn couples when we go into this process. And it works, because then nothing is really scary anymore, because you know it doesn't mean anything. The meaning of your desires, you're in charge of that as a couple. It's not that if a woman says, oh, I want to make love with two men, that tomorrow it's going to happen. No, it's just why are you feeling that? What is this desire? This desire is telling you? What is the feeling you want to feel? And can we recreate that for each other within our relationship? And so you can only get to that point when you really are listening to each other without without making it about the consequences, and making it about the solutions and the advice,
Or making it mean something about
yes,
the other person.
Absolutely.
It could be really painful to say something like that. Like if a client came to me and said, in this safe container of a coaching session, and revealed to her partner, yes, I want to have sex with two men at the same time. That might feel safe in the moment, but could there really be space held to where the man wouldn't make that mean that she absolutely has to have that in order to make her happy? That's where I think people get triggered, and that the need for excellent communication and space holding and owning 100%, taking 100% responsibility for your reactions is so necessary. Because you could, the person hearing that could make that mean so many things. and that might not be true at all. Have you ever experienced that with a couple where one of them just got totally triggered?
Oh yes, often. And
tell me about that.
Yeah, and I welcome that very much, because my coaching is all about the process and actually deal with all of it. Mm-hmm. So I welcome triggers in my coaching. I embrace it, and I say, okay, this is really good that it's happening now, because often people come home and say, oh gosh, I don't know, you said this and that, and I'm not sure what to do with it. And when people are triggered, it means something. There's always a pearl of wisdom within this trigger. There's always so much information about how we feel about ourselves, how we look at ourselves, how we desire something that we can't access. So yes, it happened a lot, but it brings so much more. And in my coachings, people come with to be really honest to themselves and each other. And my programs are not about problems. My programs are all about desires. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, I do get that a lot.
I'm sitting here doing a happy dance in my own chair, because I know you can't see me, but what she said about, the triggers bring up, what do you call that? An opportunity for healing. Because when there's a trigger, that means you've always come up against some sort of conditioning that you have not looked at to evaluate your own truth of that conditioning.
Absolutely.
So it's when you get triggered, it's like, okay, what is this? Let me look at this and see, is this true for me or is it not? Or should I drop this? Or is this really my story that I want to keep for now? And that can be super powerful because it will cause you to grow from it. So anytime you get triggered, it's a clear flag. Oh, this is your opportunity to grow.
Absolutely. And it's an invitation to look at our patterns. We have so many patterns around our love, around our sex, around our thoughts, around our behavior. And a trigger is telling you, okay, I'm blocked somewhere. What is this? And is there a pattern that I'm living right now because of that? And often in relationship, when you look at the patterns, when you discover what's behind the patterns, discover which blockages are there, and eventually you get to the desire. And it works in a beautiful way. So yes, triggers are very welcome, but also sometimes a couple fights within the chairs, within my sessions, and they feel very, very ashamed for that. They say, oh, I'm so sorry, and this is what's happening all the time. It's welcome, because now you see the pattern. This is the pattern. And so let's go back. What's behind it? What's behind it? What's behind it? What's behind it? And often within 2 or 3 sessions, you can really, really transform the way we talk to each other, the way we see each other, the way we experience each other, the way you put energy into your relationship, the way you receive energy. Because the patterns are telling us so much, and the triggers are telling us so much. And yeah, I love it.
Yeah, all back to the desire.
All back to the desire, absolutely.
Yeah, and I mentioned before that there's always something behind an actionable desire. So if you say, no, I want to experience this thing, or I want to have this sort of thing come into my life, then using the question like, well, what does having that thing give you? Who do you get to be if you had that thing? How does having that thing make you feel? Those are core desired feelings. And if you're not aware of Danielle Laporte, that's like her life's work. And she has like a whole book on and system for core desired feelings. But when you can get to that depth and level of clarity, it makes getting it a space of creativity. Is like a blank canvas, and you get to create anything out of it based on that core desired feeling that you want to feel.
Absolutely.
Which is so valuable, because then it doesn't make the person saying, I want to sleep with 2 men at the same time, mean that that's what has to happen. It's the thing behind her experiencing that she really wants. Maybe it's an experience that I want to feel wild and free. Like, I want to feel that wild and free to have that sort of experience. Okay, well, maybe that's not an option to have sex with 2 men within the confines of your relationship.
Yeah,
but how else can we help you feel wild and free? You know, that's where the work is. You know, that's
spot on.
Yeah.
Spot on. But I do actually sometimes within relationship coaching, I think the core desire and feeling is to be in a safe environment to do experiments sometimes within the safety of your relationship, but to have like this threesome, or to have like this go to a party or go to a club that is erotically fueled, and before you can be really and truly safe with each other to explore this desire and to go to the core desired feeling, you never ever can do that because you will always feel unsafe. But when you're like this bond, like this twosome that is like, okay, we're gonna do this, it makes it all about you two. It makes it all about experience that you have in the relationship. And it makes you so much stronger to go and fight and flirt a bit. Or to have like this, well, whatever you can think of. It's fantasy number one to have a threesome, but a lot of couples that tries it, they end up with problems within their relationships and relationship. And I think when we truly know how to create desire, creativity within our relationship, and it makes it really conscious, makes your triggers very conscious, and make your sexual energy very conscious, you can do sometimes, you can experiment a lot more than when you don't.
Yeah, and it definitely takes a certain level of consciousness and owning your shit, for lack of a better word.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. But hey, well, you're a love and sex coach, or you're not. I think that's, well, in Holland, I don't know about the USA, but there's a lot of taboo around cheating and around it's a desire to feel alive and to feel lush and adored. Absolutely. And I'm trying to get that in the relationships instead of out.
Yeah, I know. Wouldn't it be amazing if I think I saw a statistic lately that said something like 40% of couples are cheating on each other.
Yes,
and have no idea.
Without knowing. Yeah, exactly. That's the point. They don't know.
Yep. So what if you could get those desires met within the relationship and not have to destroy a relationship you otherwise love and cherish? Absolutely. If you could take responsibility for your shit, if you could bring consciousness and awareness to your desires and meet it with love and acceptance and compassion for that desire without the shame, like, wow, what a different world this would be.
Absolutely. And I think so much couples are longing for this feeling, but they just don't know where to start. They just don't know how to start a conversation. And I think, there's a lot of work for us. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, my most downloaded podcast was the one that I did on how to talk with your partner about sex. Because I think people have no freaking clue how to do it in a way that feels safe. And even then there's like more to it, like not only do you have to feel safe to express the desires, but you have to own and take responsibility for your reactions. And when you do get triggered, you have to know how to handle the triggers. And that's where having a coach comes in amazingly, because it really takes the direction and the space holding of a coach to kind of guide a couple through inevitable triggers. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, that's exactly what our work is about, and what the importantness is of our relationship, I think, of our coachings. Yes.
Wow. Well, that was really fun to talk to you about all of that. Super deep and juicy stuff there. I have one last question for you, and that is, what, if you have any tips or advice on how to be a multi-orgasmic mama, what would that be?
It would be start with the intention to feel your body, to open up for yourself. Don't be afraid of what's already inside of you. We often think of the end goals, like, okay, I want to be multi-orgasmic, or I want to have full body orgasms, or I want to think about sex all day long. And the bridge is just too far. It separates us from our actually what is already there. So when you really, really want to feel and take a deep dive within your sexual energy, just start with a simple intention. Let me feel my body every day, or what makes me feel alive? Where is my joy? Or how does a simple touch make me feel? Just sink in your body. Make this intention and just start it. Just start from there, and you will find clues on your way, and you will know what to do next.
Yeah, that's so simple and so true and beautiful at the same time. Yeah, I think if I had gone into working on my sexuality with the goal of like, I want to be multi-orgasmic, I would never have gotten there. that would be like way too much at once. Yeah,
exactly. And it's just when you are waiting for your partner to make you multi-orgasmic, you can wait forever.
Oh, yeah.
It starts with you, with feeling your body, and just sink in this intention, and you will know what to do. And you will come up with the right YouTube videos and whatever it takes to read. But you have to take responsibility for your own orgasm.
Yeah, that is so true. I know that working with the jade egg was what changed and rewired my brain to experience orgasm in different ways and in multiple ways. Had nothing to do with my partner, you know? And it never does. It was just
never does. No. Even when you have this conscious sexual man and blah blah blah, it never ever. He's not responsible for your orgasm. He can help you with it, but
so much truth to that. Yes. Well, thank you so much for that wonderful tip and for sharing your story with us, and for going into that delicious discussion about desire and how to bring more playfulness and creativity into our relationships. It was amazing.
Thank you so much for having me, Lacey.
Okay.
Bye.